And we are live. Hey, what is up, everyone? Tyler Ramsbey here, back with another live stream. Coming at you with some more hands-on hacking, working our way through the Holo network on TryHackMe, doing web application hacking, Active Directory hacking, and all that good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and get my music adjusted. It's really loud on my end. I'm going to turn it down on my end, but I'll turn it up for you guys. It's hard for me to monitor the levels, so if something sounds off or looks off, please shout it out to me in the stream. I think my webcam looked a little bit crooked. There we go. I think everything's good. So if you guys are watching on Twitch, go ahead and post in the chat. Let me know if everything is good. Otherwise, let me know how you found this, and truly it's an honor to have you hanging out with me. We will be live for the next about 2 hours, I'm thinking, roughly. It's 10 p.m. where I'm at now. I actually have to jump onto my work computer at midnight to do some stuff for my day job, which apparently is my night job tonight. But up until that time, we are going to do some hands-on hacking utilizing the great Kali Linux. So let me share my screen. Boom. There we go. And what up, J Money? I love the music. Good. Glad you like it. Good to have you back again. I've missed you in a couple of the streams, but it's good to be back. It's good to have you back. And the only thing I've done up to this point, so first, if you guys missed my stream last night, I would encourage you watch that. I posted it up on my YouTube page, so go to my YouTube, subscribe, watch the stream from last night. That was like the first part where I guide through connecting to the Open VPN network and doing the first 13 tasks. So my goal today is let's pick it up where we left off. What I've done up to this point is I just got connected to the VPN, and the network was actually booting as I was getting things configured. So let's see if the network's ready for us. Here we go. Here's Holo. I think it's ready. We could try to ping the web server there. Looks like we're on subnet 109 today, and I already did update my Etsy host file as well. So ping 10.200.109.33. Oh, are we not up yet? Or did I type something wrong? Oh, network state resetting. Well, shoot. I wonder how long it takes to reset. It's been 5 minutes, over 5 minutes. Let's try to refresh. Oh, now it's running. Do you think it's really running? Because it didn't let me ping it. Oh. Hey. It came up as we were testing it. So things may not be fully up yet. So we'll give it just a little bit of time. I'm going to mess with the music a little bit more. I turn it down on my end, but once again, I'll turn it up for you guys so you can hear it a little better. I just like it in the background. It's hard for me to talk over it when it's blaring in my ears. But if it's too loud for you guys on Twitch, please let me know. It's like I said, I don't have a good way to know. All right. Well, the network is up, and so we're going to jump to where I broke. Okay, this might be a really short stream because last time I was doing this, last night, I broke the web server. Okay? So we're going to try our best not to break the web server, because what we need to get is a shell, a reverse shell. And I broke it trying to stabilize my reverse shell. And I noticed yesterday for some reason it wasn't working in Firefox, so we're going to pull it open in Chrome. What we need to do, I believe, is the admin.holo.live. We got these creds last time. I think I already have them saved. So once again, watch that video if you missed what I'm doing here. And we're going to do remote file execution, and I'll just demonstrate this again, right? So we can, not remote file execution, remote code execution. So we're running this on the web server. So what we need to do is get a shell, and we could use something as basic as netcat. Now, when we do this, anytime there's a space, you have to do a plus. So we can say which netcat. So we know netcat's on the machine. So then it is as simple as pentest monkey, reverse shell cheat sheet, netcat -e for execute. Let's copy this command. Let's open up our handy dandy notepad. Let's zoom in so you guys can see it. And we're going to put our IP there, which I don't know what our IP is. It's right up there. And what this is going to do is it's going to cause the web server to connect back to our attack machine. And then on our attack machine, we're going to have what's called a shell on the web server, which is going to be like we're logged into the web server almost like with an SSH connection. So our IP is 10.50.105.176. And we are elite, so we're going to use 1337. Sorry, I can't see my keyboard. I should just be able to type without looking, but when it comes to the numpad, I always screw it up. Okay, that looks good to me. Is bash on the computer? If I do like which bash, can I do that? So instead of sh, let's do bash. That might make it look a little bit better. Your browser, I know, but watch this. I'll show you HunterBot. Well, maybe it'll work this time. Before it didn't work, but I was also doing parentheses around it, and that's what screwed it up. So even if I just do like which bash, oh, it does work. I'm doing this pluses the whole time. Thank you, dude. So here's HunterBot. You probably would have caught this last night. What I was stuck on is when I was initially doing my commands, I was doing quotations around it, right? So I was like, well, which netcat, thinking I needed quotations, and it would never work. And my issue was literally just the quotations around it, which is crazy because then it works. But okay, we have that. Let's copy that. Let's get our listener on our machine. There we go. And we should be able to get a shell. Look good to you guys? And the fact that you see it loading there, that's a good sign. I think we actually have it. So we're www.data. I'm not going to fully stabilize the shell because that's what broke it last time, but we will at least get a fake shell with Python with this command right here. And I believe it's Python 3. Yeah, Python 3. So if we do, we might have to, let's just copy just this part of the command right there. There we go. I don't think we can do clear, but we can do other things that's a little bit cleaner. To fully stabilize it, there's a way you can do that. And I try to follow the instructions, but that's what killed the web server. So we're just going to skip that part of it of stabilizing, and let's just see if we can keep moving so we don't kill the web server. All right, now that we have shell in a box, we want to stabilize, blah, blah. We're not going to follow those steps. All right, we're going to pretend like we stabilized it. Perfect. Docker. I hardly even know her. Now that we've gained a shell onto the web server, we need to perform some situational awareness to figure out where we are. We know from looking through some files when we exploited LFI that this might be a container. You know what? Let's look through stuff on our own first, okay? So here is our web server. If we back out, with a root, what do we got? Apache.tar, boot, home. Nothing in home. We can't go to root. Yeah. Okay, and what I would do, if this is just me doing this, I would run something like linpeas, and maybe it will direct us to run it, I'm not sure. But if I was doing this on my own, I'd run linpeas, and I bet linpeas, if you ran that, it would show you that you're in a Docker container. Docker, I believe, runs as root. So then you can use Docker. Well, you escape Docker, and then you go from there because your Docker runs as root. I think. I'm going off memory from when I've worked with this stuff in the past. But now that we get a shell, blah, blah, we can run some further enumeration information gathering to identify whether that is true or not. In any way, I think any misconfigurations that might allow us to escape the container. From the Docker documentation, a container is a standard unit of software that packages up code and all its dependencies so the application runs quickly and reliably from one computing environment to another. A Docker container image is a lightweight, standalone executable package of software that includes everything needed to run an application: code, runtime, system tools, system libraries, and settings. So we have kind of a picture here of how Docker is set up. So it's virtualized applications. You can kind of think of VMs, kind of. Containers have networking capabilities in their own file storage. They achieve this by using three components of the Linux kernel: namespaces, C groups, and overlay fs, and I believe there's quite a few exploits that abuse that right there. But we're only going to be interested in namespaces here. After all, they lay at the heart of it. Namespaces essentially segregate system resources such as processes, files, and memory away from other namespaces. Every process running on Linux will be assigned a PID or process ID and a namespace. Namespaces are how containerization is achieved. Processes can only see the process that is running in the same namespace, no conflicts in theory. Take Docker, for example. Every new container will be running as a new namespace, although the container may be running multiple applications and in turn processes. Let's prove the concept of containerization by comparing the number of processes there are in a Docker container that is running a web server versus the host operating system at the time. We can look for various indicators that have been placed into a container. Containers, due to their isolated nature, will often have very few processes running in comparison to something such as a virtual machine. We can simply use ps-aux to print out the running processes. Note in the screenshot below. Let's go ahead and do that. Oh yeah. So you can see other users looks like have shells on this system right now. Hopefully nobody breaks this. But you can see we have very few containers. It looks like we have some people who already have root. It would appear, if I'm understanding what we're looking at correctly. Command blah blah. Containers allow environmental variables to be provided from the host OS by the use of .dockerend file. This file is located in the C directory, or not C, the root directory, and would exist on a container, even if no environment variables were provided. You know what? I meant to start a 25-minute timer. Let me start that now. We'll work for 25 minutes and take a break. There we go. Got it going. Command use is this, so let's go ahead and try that. And we can see our Docker environment right there. As you can see, cool. Docker environment. C groups are used by containerization software such as LXC or Docker. Let's look for them by navigating to proc1 and then catting the C group file. Okay, well let's do that and see if we can see what we're looking for. So we got memory, PID, process IDs, name, systemd. Okay. It is worth mentioning that the cgroups file contains paths including the word Docker. Yep, I noticed that. Read the above section to familiar yourself with your new environment. Submit the flag on L server 2. I don't know what the flag is. Let's see what we're looking for flags. Flag submission panel. What flag can be found inside of the container? I don't know. We could do some manual enumeration. Otherwise, if I go here to my notes, I'll zoom in just so you guys can see my notes a little bit better. If we go to Linux priv escalation, if we go to enumeration, we can use this little find command. We'll go back out to the root directory. I guess I don't know if it's going to be called flag1.txt. We could also do a wildcard, I'd assume, but we'll try flag1.txt first. Oh. Must not be called flag1.txt. What if we do? Oh, I don't have that command. Can I do that? Nope, that apparently doesn't work either. Oh. I don't think that's what we're looking for. Maybe we just need to look around. So let's go CD. There's nothing in home if I remember right. Where would they hide it? Do we need to go to root first? We have a database dump. That's interesting. What's that script file? MySQL. Oh, this is a script that is accessing MySQL using root. And, oh, so and then you're dumping into the database dump file. Well, I bet we're going to come back to that at some point in time in this room. So interesting to note there. You know, we could even just grab that for our own notes. Let's just grab this in case you want to enumerate that further at a later time. Go to boxes and we'll just paste it here. All right, back to this. Just not sure where this flag would be. I wonder if it gives us any type of hint. No, it doesn't. What flag can be found inside the container? Maybe I'm using my find command wrong. Linux, privesc. We could just run linps on this beast. And we'd probably find something if we ran linps. Or find a way to escalate to root and then just grab the flag. Maybe we'll try that. So if we go to TryHackMe, Holo. I don't know if I have linps on this yet. Oh, I do. Okay. So let's copy from home, Kali, downloads, linps to our current directory. There it is, python3.im. Let's set up a web server real quick. We'll host that file out, and then from our victim machine, let's go to temp because we can probably run it from there, and we'll just wget from our IP. And then I don't remember if you need to output a file. Do you have to type it again like that? Oh, we don't have wget? Well, doesn't that suck? I mean, I could do it, I suppose, because we're in a Docker container. Maybe that's why wget doesn't work. Gosh, how do I find this stupid flag? There was nothing in home, right? No. We can't go to root. Let's look at, see if we're missing something. Is it in the Docker environment folder? Submit the flag found on L server 02. I would love to, but I don't know where the flag's at. Maybe it's something like that proc one. If it's a file, you can try. Okay, find that. Is it named like that? Here, I'll just copy your syntax. It's hard for me to copy it from over there. Okay, find name flag. And throw all the errors. Okay, I see what you're doing. I'm gonna actually copy that for my notes. I don't know if it would be in any of those. I think those are actual flags that are set, but I'm still gonna copy your syntax, Hunter Bot. Thank you for that. I'll put in the appropriate spot in my notes later, but for now, let's just get it recorded. What do you think the flag would be if it's not a file? I mean, I guess I could look at those different file paths, but I think those are actual flags set by system. You know what I mean? Let's see what permissions we have. Is the flag outside of the container? No, because if we look at the flag to submit, so if we go to our flag submission panel, it says what flag can be found inside of the container. Usually it's like a flag one.txt or something. So there are flags outside of the container for sure, but the flag we're looking for right now is a flag that can be found inside of said container. I was assuming it'd be like in home and there'd be like a user. Now, unless someone, you know, the only thing I think of is when I'm on this network, I'm doing this with a bunch of other people. There's multiple people on this web server right now. Could be someone accidentally deleted the flag or accidentally deleted a folder, you know, something along those lines. Because usually doing that find command is going to find it. And so what I'm going to do, let's just look at a Holo walkthrough just to where we're at. So your home directory would be car. Okay. Oh, is it user.txt? Good call, HunterBot. Yeah, you meant var. Yeah, I got you. I was like, car. I don't know why it would be car. Okay. Good call, dude. Good call. All right, let's go ahead and submit that flag and keep moving. And we were actually in that folder. I just went all the way out to root. Okay, we submitted the flag. Good job, guys. Next task, living off the land. We now know that we are in a Docker container. Since we know that we are in a Docker container, we can continue with situational awareness and enumeration to determine what we can do and what other paths we can take to continue attacking the server. A critical part of situational awareness is identifying network and host information. This can be done via port scanning and network tooling. In this task, we'll be covering using what we have at our disposal in a limited environment to gain information and awareness of the environment. We will showcase both Bash and Python port scanners that you can utilize, as both are common to have inside of a system or container, and other tricks that can be used, such as netcat and statically compiled binaries. The first method of port scanning we'll be covering is using Bash. In Bash, we can utilize deb, TPC, IP address port. This will act as a built-in scanner to gather information on the container ports. I didn't know that. This utility is broken down below. /dev contains all hardware devices. Dev TCP is a pseudo device of your Ethernet wireless card, opens a socket when data is directed either in or out. For more information about this, check out Linux documentation page. We can use this to our advantage to scan internal ports by piping a list of ports into it. Find an example of a full bash port scanner below. So you can see we got shebang, bin bash, we have our ports, for port, in ports, do, timeout 1, so wait a second, bash, -c, echo, port scan test, so we're just echoing that out, dev TCP, port, echo, port is, and then it's going to echo port is open if it's open, and then any errors is going to go to dev null, so gone, done. The second method of port scanning we will cover is using Python. To scan ports with Python, we will need to use the sockets library to open containers and enable network connectivity. The script itself is as simple as opening connections to sequencing ports in a loop. Find an example of the full Python port scanner below. So, shebang, Python 3, import socket, host, port list, for port, import list, s equals socket.socket. This is just trying to connect to them. Or specifying it there, specifying the ports and IPs, I suppose. Not the IP word local IP, but the ports. Try. So try to connect, print port, space, and then the specific port is open, except. So if it's not open, print port is closed. The main line of code doing all the work is the socket AF inet socket sockstream. This will be a precursor to opening a connection to the specified host and port. The third method we will look at is unique and uses netcat to connect to a range of ports. Netcat is a reasonably common utility on all Linux boxes, so it's safe to assume that we will always have it at our disposal. Find example syntax below. Okay, I like the netcat syntax the most, and I'm gonna I'm going to grab that screenshot as well. I'm going to add that to my notes later on, but for now, we'll just get it put on our box. Okay, along with these living off the land scripts, we can also utilize statically compiled binaries. A statically compiled binary is similar to any other binary with all libraries and dependencies included in the binary. This makes it so that you can run the binary on any system with the same architecture. There are several places you can download these binaries and compile them yourselves. Check out this GitHub. Okay, let's just glance at this. Let's bookmark that. And yep, let's put it in our hacking resources folder. Okay, did it go there? Yep, it did. Perfect. Might come in handy later. Read the above and scan ports on the container gateway. We're gonna do this one. Except for we would be scanning. Would we just scan our IP address of the web server? I'd assume so. Right, so if we go here. I think the IP of the web server is 10.200.109.33. Do I have that right, guys? Oh. Oh no, because we're on the Docker container. I see. We're on this right here. So it would be the 192.168.100.1 then. Right? Yeah. Right, that's the right IP, isn't it? Oh no, it's 100.100. I think I would do 100.100, right? I mean, I assume you could do localhost as well because I'm scanning it from within the system. No, because we want to scan the entire network that we have connection to. We're not just scanning that box. Okay. Sorry, y'all. Had a brain issue right there. Remember we saw that port before? Ooh, isn't that interesting? Oops. Wrong thing. Let's make that a little bit smaller. So let's glance at that. We have this interesting port here. We got MySQL, and if you remember, we saw that database dump file. I bet that's going to come in handy. We have a hidden web server there, possibly, another web server, and then, of course, port 22, which is SSH. Okay. So we did that. What is the default gateway for the Docker container? Gosh, sorry guys, my microphone is in my way. What is the high web port open? It was 8080. What is the low database port open in the container gateway? It was your standard MySQL port, right? Yeah, 3306. Dorcas, protector of the database. Continuing with situational awareness, we can begin looking for any interesting config files or other pieces of information that we can gather without actively exploiting the box. We can also attempt to loot services on the device using such as MySQL. Since we know the server we are attacking is a web server, we can assume it runs some SQL or database on the back end. Often these databases may be secure from someone accessing them from the outside, but when on the server, they are often very insecure and can openly read the config files. When we get onto a server running MySQL, we can begin our situational awareness and information looting exfiltration by reading the db_connect PHP file. Web servers require this file to connect to PHP and SQL. This file is often not readable externally, but you can easily read it and obtain information from it if you have access to an insecure internal server. This file will typically be present at the root of the web page. such as var www, so kind of our home as www data. Find an example of this configuration file below. Let's go check out our configuration file. Well, apparently it's not there. Or it's the web dot. Well, let's just see. I don't see DB Connect, but maybe it's elsewhere. As you can see, we can get much important information from this file: server address, password, username, database name. This can help us then access and loot the database. It is essential to understand the scope and what information you can and can't exfiltrate and loot. Before exfiltration, you should have a clear communication and plans with your target. Holo Live has permitted you to exfiltrate names and passwords within the dashboard DB database in this engagement. Sorry guys, adjusted my mic. To access the database, you will need to utilize a binary of the database access tool you use. The database will often be MySQL. However, this can change from server to server, and location may also vary. To use MySQL, you will only need to specify the username using you. You will also need to specify the P parameter. However, it does not take an argument. When directly accessing a database using MySQL, it will put you into a local database hosted on the machine. You can also use MySQL to access remote databases using the -h parameter. Find an example of usage below. And if we look at that thing we grabbed a screenshot of, we see it's doing MySQL-u root-f, maybe for file or something, into that dump folder. So we can see a little bit of that syntax there. We have MySQL-u username, which we have a username for the database, I believe. Well, I have it on my actual box. If successful, we should now have access to a remote database. From here, we can use SQL syntax. Gosh, I hate SQL syntax. To navigate and utilize the database. We'll be covering a few essential SQL commands that you can use to understand how to navigate a SQL database quickly. For more information, check out the MySQL documentation. So show databases provides a list of available databases. Use database navigates to the provided database. Show tables provides a list of available tables within the database. Show columns from table outputs columns of the provided table. And select whatever from table outputs all content of the provided table. So what is the server address of the remote database? Well, turn this down a little bit. There we go. Okay, if we glance at our scan, is it just the 100.1? I don't know if that's it or not. Oh, I'm right. What is the password of the remote database? I didn't see that db_connect.php file. Did you guys? Let's try to search for it using the syntax that HunterBot shared with us. Can I not copy? I mean, I can search images. All right, we'll copy it from the chat. So if we copy HunterBot syntax, oh, it's an admin. Okay. Oh. Guys, I can't spell. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Okay. So we have this stuff right here. Let's grab a screenshot of that. There's our creds. That's a really secure password. I mean, I guess it's long. That's going to be our answer to the one question. So let's grab that. What was the username? Username was admin. That's good. Easy enough to remember. What is the database name of the remote database? Dashboard DB. What username can be found within the database itself? So we'll have to actually connect to the database, right? So if we follow the syntax it gave us, so just so we get it right, if we follow this syntax, it's going to be admin -p, but it says it doesn't actually take a parameter, right? And it was 192.168.100.1. Let's see if that will allow us to connect. And then it's asking us for our password, which is right there. I'm just going to copy it, otherwise I'll screw it up. Okay. And if we show databases, is it show database or show databases? Shoot, I already broke it. What did I do to it? Show data. Oh, I just need to add this. There we go. So we can see our different databases right there. And I think if we show tables. Oh, okay. So we have to select the database first. Oh yeah, HunterBot. The stream's a little bit behind, so I must have discovered it right before you chatted it, but I appreciate that. So we need to use database. So we want to use that database. So if we use dashboard DB. Oh, geez. Guys, I never want to take a break when my timer actually goes off, but I know it's a good idea. So let's go and take a 5-minute break. And we'll come back into this and we'll finish enumerating this. Actually, you know what? Let's finish this task first. I don't like stopping in the middle of something. Let's finish this task first, then we'll come back to it. So we switch to our database. Now if we do show tables, oh, whoops, I always forget that. So we have one user. So if we, I believe we select blank from table. Okay. So we're going to do select that from users. Gurog. Look at that. Let's go ahead and grab that screenshot. Put that up here. So our other user is Gurog. What was the hint? I should have looked at the hint. Select this from table. Yep. We did that on our own without looking at the hint. Good job, guys. Making Thin Lizzy proud, okay? Well, let's go ahead and take our 5-minute break. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Let me get it pulled up on here. So get up, stretch, get a drink of water, do whatever you need to do, get some popcorn, watch me stumble through stuff. But let's go ahead and take our 5-minute break. I'll be right back in 5. Boom, and we are back. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the live stream. Hope you enjoyed your 5-minute break, but let's go ahead and dive back into hacking. Let me get Twitch pulled up. And HunterBot, I'm excited for the NTLM relay section. Me too, but I'll probably screw it up, so you'll have to help me through it. All right. Docker breakout, making Thin Lizzy proud. Now that you have identified, let me check our network time real quick. Okay, we got 43 minutes. I think we can extend it. Give us an hour. Okay, cool. Now that you have identified that you are in a container and have performed all the information gathered and situational awareness you can escape the container by exploiting the remote database. There are several ways to escape a container, all typically stemming from misconfigurations of the container from services or access controls. For information about container best practices and Docker security, check out this OWASP cheat sheet. Okay. A method that's not quite as common is exploitable, not quite as common is exploitation. Exploits to escape containers aren't as common and typically rely on abusing a process running on the host machine. Exploits usually require some level of user interaction. For example, this CVE, let's just check it out. Ooh, Palo Alto. Also, it was for the copy command. Oh, can lead to full container escape when exploited by an attacker. Copy command allows copying files. Yep, of course. Shrewding. Okay, I might look into that later on my own, just for my own time. I'm gonna keep it open. It can also be beneficial to use a container enumeration script such as deepce, but I can't wget, and I don't feel like trying to set up like SSH, but this looks interesting. Let's bookmark this too. Yep. Since we gained access to a remote database, we can utilize it to gain command execution and escape the container from MySQL. Music just changed up on me. Let's start our music over. The basic methodology for exploiting MySQL can be found below. First, let's just settle the debate. You guys call it SQL or do you call it SQL? For those of you watching on Twitch, I'm curious. SQL or SQL? The basic methodology for exploiting MySQL, doesn't that sound better than MySQL? Can be found below. Access the remote database using administrator creds, which we already did. Create a new table in the main database, which would be our database DB or whatever we're in. Inject PHP code to gain command execution. Oh, interesting. Drop table contents onto a file the user can access. Execute and obtain RCE on the host. I've never even heard of this. To do it that way, it's fascinating. Look at the above exploit may seem complicated, but we can break it down further. Where's the E in SQL? All right. Here's why I call it SQL. If you look at the history, it was initially called SQL. I believe. Well, I could be wrong. The language, structured English query language, SQL, was developed by IBM. SQL later became SQL. So it was originally called SQL, and it was shortened to SQL for structured query language, but it was originally structured English query language. So that's why I think the correct way to enunciate it is SQL. But everybody goes back and forth, so you can pronounce it however you like. All right, we can use a single command to inject our PHP code into a table and save the table into a file on the remote system. We are writing any code that we want onto the remote system from this command, which we can then execute, giving us code execution. Find the command used below. Okay, I'm gonna grab this, and I just want to look at it. So select, I didn't copy the S. Select this into out file, show.php. We can use single command to inject our PHP code into a table and save the table into a file in the remote system. Or any code. Note that we have a file that we control dropped on the system. We can curl the address and obtain RCE from, really? Hunterbot said, okay, thanks, I learned something today. Good. Hopefully you learned something. SQL. I was curious one day, like, the correct way to pronounce it so I didn't look foolish, and that's what I discovered. So can I just do that? Really? It's that easy. And now from the web server, oh. var www html. Shouldn't shell.php be in that directory right there? Maybe it didn't work. Let's redo this again. Now that we have a file that we control dropped on the system, we can curl the address, but I don't see it. That's why I don't think curling the address is going to do anything, right? We use that into out file. So it should be there. Or is it putting it out of the container? I don't know. So like if I go to I don't think that command quite worked. For those of you watching on Twitch, do you see something I missed? If we ran this command into out file, I'd assume it would put it there. Right here. I'm at that file path. But it's not there. Let's copy Hunterbot's syntax again. And just look for it. Like maybe it dropped somewhere else for some reason. Okay. I see those shells, but I don't know if I made those. I think a different user possibly made those. Those WordPress shells right there. I'm pretty sure that wasn't me. That's not where it would have dropped. Let's just look at those. Whoops. So it's in the WordPress. WP includes. I think that's on the www.hololive one. Nope, maybe not. But wouldn't it be in another server since you are logged into a remote database? Was there a different website or a different subdomain? So there's three different domains, or virtual hosts, I think is the proper, because it's all running off one IP address. There's holo.live, admin.holo.live, and dev.holo.live. And if we look at this right here, they're all running off of, we have server 2 here. Let's just follow the steps here. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I need a curl. It's running off of .1. This web server right here is running off of .1. If I do this, Can I update the IP? Okay, that didn't copy. That's good. I think you're right, Hunter. I don't think I was understanding it properly. If I do 192.168.100.1, I bet that might possibly work. We can stop doing that. Oh, we have to do it from within the box, I bet. Yeah. So it is working. Because it's obviously from within the box. I don't know why I was doing it on my host machine. So if we run a command like, whoops. You can see that. There's where our shell was stored at, was on that web server that we enumerated. Can I do like, so there we have to do the pluses, of course, because it's not URL encoding because we're not in a browser. Okay, so now we can use this to spawn a shell. I bet that's what it's going to have us do. Read the above and exploit the database. What user is the database running as? Now that you have escaped the container and have RCE on the host, you need to create a reverse shell and obtain a way to gain a stable shell onto the box. So let's go ahead and do that. That's what I assumed we were going to do. So if we go back to, we actually still have our command right here. We should be able to, can we connect back from that box to our main machine? Or no, because they're running on. Let's keep reading. You can start a local web server on your attacking machine. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's just read through this, then we'll go back and do it. There are several ways to obtain a reverse shell in a box. Outlined below are a few of the most common examples. In this task, we'll be covering how to use a basic bash reverse shell along with URL encoding to drop a script directly into bash. Using URL encoding to our advantage, we can ease much pain when executing a payload, as often special characters such as this will cause serious issues. To begin, we will create a simple payload by pasting the below code into a .sh file. Are we doing this on the victim machine here? The first line I'm going to declare we're using bash scripting, right? Shebang! The second line is the payload itself. For more information about this payload, check it out, this explain shell. Now that you have the payload ready to go, you can start up a local web server on your attacking machine using http.server or updog or PHP. You can find example usage below. Once you have a server hosting the file, we can complete a command to execute the file. As we've already mentioned, special characters can cause these URLs. So what they're doing here is making the script on our attack machine, and they're transferring it over to our victim machine. You only need to change the IP address. You can start a listener using netcat or metasploit. Now that you have the full payload and execution command ready, you can use an RCE to gain a shell into the box. Can't I just use the simple netcat shell? Is there any reason that wouldn't work? Whoops, I feel like their way is overly complicated. Like if I just edit this down like this, change our port to 1338. Is there any reason that won't work? I don't know. We'll find out. Whoops, keep opening Discord. Well, I'm gonna say, yep, it doesn't work. Curl that shell.php command equals netcat. Maybe we need to do shell instead of bin bash. No, that shouldn't really matter because bin bash should be on there. Plus 1338. Well, let's follow their way, shall we? So we are going to go on our attack machine. You don't really need to be root, but... Alright, and we're going to gedit. We'll just call it shell, I suppose, .sh, maybe. What did they call it? Shell script.sh. We'll call it hacksmarter.sh. Let's be cool like that. And then we should be able to literally just copy out kind of their syntax here. Go to this. And I'm not sure if ours is ton 0 that we're going to use. Oh, no, it is. It is. I know for some of the other ones, it was the name of like exploiting AD or whatever is what it changed to. So it is going to be ton 0. That's going to be our port is port 53. That all looks good to me. Was there anything else we had to change from that? The first line declare we're using bash scripting. Now that you have the payload ready to go, you can start up a local web server. So that payload should work then. Oops. There's our hacksmarter.sh. So we got that. Python 3.m. Set up our web server like that. And then we're going to do a curl command. So, but we have to encode it, right? Which I believe you can actually find like a URL encoder, and we should be able to just type in our regular command here. So if we take this command, we obviously have to fill in our IP, which is going to be 50.105.176, like that. Shell script.sh bash a. And that should be the same as what they got there. Let's just see if it looks the same. Yeah. Same thing. The above command is entirely ready to go. You only need to change the IP address and the file name within the command. That's right. We do need to change ours to hacksmarter.sh. This does not require you to change any of the URL encoding present. You can now start a listener using netcat or metasploit, and we're going to listen on port 53 because that's what we set it up as. Okay. And now we should be able... So now that you have the full payload and execution command ready, you can use an RCE to gain a shell onto the box. Command curl. I see what we're doing. I see. So our full command is going to look like this. Right? We have that opening single quote. Well, guys, here goes nothing. I don't know if that worked. Oh, shoot. Oh wait, that's just my web server. I didn't set up a listener. Oh yeah, I did. I pulled it down. And so that put it on command curl. Okay, trying to understand this inception. So we pulled it down from there. Okay, now start listener. Find commands. Now that you have the full payload and execution command ready, you can use an RCE to gain a shell into the box. Find the full command below. Shouldn't it be running? HunterBot, if you're still on here, you're smarter than me. What am I missing? We downloaded it, obviously, right? It took it from our web server to... Oh, this is... Okay, I see what we're doing. This is now the web server. I got it. So if we go to our actual web server now, which is 10.200.109.33, I think. He even says it right here. It's a 109.33. And then we have hacksmarter.sh. Or not. It should have executed, shouldn't it have? So it's executing. It's downloading the shell script, just hacksmarter.sh, onto the web server. So if we look at the network right here, it's on. What's in your sh file? Let me move a man ass. That. And that just came straight from the task. Oh, we can just do ton 0. You're right. It has ton 0 IP, doesn't it? Ton 0, don't think that's correct. Yeah, so where that came from. Should I just put my IP there? They have it right there. Yeah, maybe that's what they mean by ton 0 IP. I thought they were just referring to ton 0. Oh my goodness. Let's try this again. Oh, shoot. I had numlock on. I don't know why it turned off. 10.50.105.176. Okay, let's say we might have to actually save this as something else because it's already one of those. So let's move hack smarter and we'll call it. It's a bash reverse shell. The web server does not know what ton 0 IP is. Yeah, of course it doesn't because it's not running locally on mine. Duh. We'll just be simple, right? We'll call it smartshell.sh. How about that? Okay, so we got smartshell.sh. Now we already have our syntax right here. We just need to change this like that, and then it should execute properly. We first have to host it on a web server though. Is our listener still listening? It is. So now let's copy this. Okay. Smart shell. Ah. We are WW data, my friends. Obtain a shell on L server 1 and submit the user flag on task 4. What flag can be found after gaining user? Well, last time our home user flag was here, yeah. this the flag they're referring to? So far, so good. Oh, I never started my timer for our next break. Let me start our 25-minute timer real quick. Here we go. All right, we're working our way through. Oh, we already did this. I just need to say, yes, we did it. Task 20. Call me Mario, because I got all the bits. Please be mindful of others trying to proceed in the network. Please do not stop the Docker container from running. It will prevent users from proceeding throughout the network. Also, please clean up after yourself. If you transfer a Docker container image to the VM, remember to remove it after you finish elevating privileges. Got it. Now that we have shell on L server 1 and escape the container, we need to perform local privilege escalation to gain root on the box, which I'm going to try this on my own. Okay. I'll try some of the basic things and we'll see if we can figure it out. So if we look at lineage privilege escalation, first I wonder, so we have this Linux admin account. Okay. Okay, let's check suid bits. Give it a second. Maybe. So really when I get low-level user on a Linux box, I really just walk through my notebook I have here. Right, so first I check sudo, can we run anything as super user do, then I check suid bits, then I'll check capabilities, then I'll check cron jobs. And honestly, if I don't find it by then what I do is I run linpiece and see if linpiece will show me something. But I try to do that manual enumeration first because sometimes you get a quick win with that. And if that doesn't work, we run linpiece and we'll read through it. So our suid bit, we have it set on these. This might be our attack vector right there. The way we can confirm that, I could be completely off base too. It can be used to break out from restricted environments by spawning an interactive system shell. If we go down to suid, if the binary has a suid bit set, which it does not drop the elevated privileges and may be abused to access the file system, escalate or maintain privilege access as a suid backdoor. If it is used to run sh-p, omit the -p argument on systems like Debian, blah, blah. Okay, the resulting is a root shell. I don't know if I got that copied. Maybe I have to find our Docker. Which Docker would be which Docker? User bin Docker. Do you have to do sudo? Do I really have to stabilize my shell? You can either upload a new Docker image or much simpler, just run Docker images to see what Docker image is already on the host. Check what Docker images you have access to. I forgot the command. Maybe Docker list. Let's look it up. Well, I bet it's going to guide us through. Maybe I should just quit trying to do this on my own and just follow along. Also, you need interactive shell. So you're telling me I need to stabilize my shell? Remember what happened last time with Amoeba Man? I tried to fix my shell. Just Docker images. Well, we need to stabilize our shell anyways. Okay, guys. This shouldn't be as complicated as I make it out to be, right? So we already have our shell. Just run the Python thing. I thought I already did. Oh no, maybe I didn't. Okay, so we got Python 3 on here. Here, oops, whoa, quit. Here's the command we need to run. Okay, so we have these different Docker images. Ubuntu, I'd assume, is what we're going to be working with. Let's go back to the task at hand. That's it. Okay, so we're going to use that to abuse it. I see. So local privilege, okay, server resources, and this task will cover one specific technique and script that we can use to speed along the process. So this is going to walk us through linpeas. I wonder if linpeas is just going to find so it's using something else. If the binary has a suid bit set. Oh, dig has a suid bit set. Let's look at that again. No, it doesn't. That's what it said, right? Maybe my command's not right. It's not even having us abuse the Docker image yet, it looks like. All right, guys. Y'all see dig? Yeah, Alpine is a Docker image. Since we don't have that image, you need to use Ubuntu. You can replace Alpine with Ubuntu. Now run the suid command with... Oh, run the suid command with one of those images? Is it... Did I miss something on here? This task will utilize a script called linpeas. To use linpeas, we need to download the script. Linpea is a specific exploit that we'll take at as using the suid bit from Linux. Normally in Linux, Unix, it inherits permissions, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't say here to run it on Docker. You're probably right. I'm just curious why it doesn't explain to do it that way. Oh, this is just an example of an exploit. So Docker is probably the way to exploit it. Yeah, I got you. I didn't read close enough. I thought it was trying to show you the exact one. They're just showing an example of what it looks like in GTFO bins, which we were already at. Okay. I see. So then if we're going to escape with that Docker image, I've never done that before. So I'll see if I can stumble my way through it. So we're going to use Ubuntu right there. So Docker has the suid bit set. So instead of Alpine, we're just going to use Ubuntu. I bet. Amoeba Man said you have sudo binary set and Docker image, hence you can progress with it, but the GTF bone uses the Alpine image, which you don't have on that host, so you either need to upload it. Okay, gotcha. Yep, so I was understanding correctly. I would just update that to Ubuntu 10.4. Maybe I don't want user bin. You have a specific version of Ubuntu. I see. Do I do Ubuntu like 18.04? I wonder if I need a space or not. We'll try it both ways. Nope, must need a space. Colin. Ah. Or like that. Oh, fascinating. Okay, I need to copy this down. I just want to copy the command I used for this so I can record this later in my notes. So if we go back to boxes, whoops. Very cool. What is the full path of the binary with a suid bit set? That's the user bin Docker. What is the first full line of the exploit for the suid bit? And Amoeba Man said GTFO bins are amazing, but it's important to understand what the GTFO bins command is doing, since there will be a couple of times you have to modify it slightly for your specific case. Yeah, good word, good point. Usually I just copy, paste, fire off. That seems to work most of the time, but yeah, obviously it didn't work that time. And I'm glad it didn't work that time because it helped me learn it. What is the first, what is the full first line of the exploit for the suid bit? That's the whole line, right? What are they looking for? What is the first full line of the exploit for the suid bit? Oh, is it asking about that? Escalate privileges and submit root flag to task 4. Root flag. Good stuff. Okay, so far so good, y'all. From the shadows. Now that we have gained a decent foothold onto the network and have a stable shell, semi-stable, we can worry about setting up persistence so that we don't lose our foothold and gain our foothold again if the machine is reset or our shell gets terminated. There are many methods for persistence outlined below are a few examples. LD preload, whoops. Backdoored binaries, pan backdoor. I want to set up SSH keys. I feel like that would be the easiest. Malicious services, cron job, and credential harvesting. In this room, we'll be focusing on credential harvesting specifically from the shadow file and how to crack passwords offline. Ooh, some Hashcat or John the Ripper. To begin with our persistence adventures, we'll be focusing on dumping the shadow file on a Linux server, which now is root. We can do that. The shadow file is located in /shadow and contains encrypted passwords and related information, including usernames, password change date, expiration, etc. We can use this file to retrieve hashes as an attacker and attempt to crash the hashes using an offline hash cracking tool like Hashcat or John the Ripper. Since the shadow file is standard in the Linux kernel to authenticate accounts, you can expect it on every Linux machine you encounter. To dump the shadow file is simple. Yup. Okay, I've done this kind of stuff before. So we have this Linux admin account right here. That's going to be of interest to us. We can probably stop doing this now. I wonder if that's, I'm assuming that's the one that's going to have us crack. We now have all the account hashes stored by the system. From here, we can take them offline and attempt to crack them in the next task. We did that. What default non-user? Crack all the things. I wonder how long this is going to take if we have to use Rocky or whatever. A somewhat important part of red team operations is hash cracking. We can use Hashcat or John the Ripper to crack a provided hash by comparing it against a provided word list such as rocku.txt. In this task, we'll be using the power of Google Colab to crack hashes for us. I've heard of that, but I haven't used it. Can I just use John the Ripper? Oh well. From Google Collaboratory or Collab for short, allows you to write and execute Python in your browser. This means that we can take advantage of it with pre-built workspaces to install and run Hashcat on Google's cloud infrastructure and crack our hashes with a high-end GPU. To begin using CollabCat, we will need to identify the Hashcat mode to use against the hashes. The shadow file uses the generic Linux hash that. This is a SHA-512 crypt, which we can identify as mode 1800. For information about Hashcat types, check out the Hashcat example. Now we can use the CollabCat repo. To start up a Collab instance with the Hashcat settings pre-approved. To use CollabCat, you will first need a Google account. Done, I have that. To begin preparing the instance, you need to follow the prompts and execute the preset commands in each box. Find an example of running preset commands below. Continue following the prompts to authorize your Google account to connect to the Collab instance. The below box is the step at which we can change the commands to crack our hashes. I'm curious, Amoeba Man, Hunterbot, do you guys ever use this, or do you just use like John the Ripper and Hashcat on your local machine? Like, have you ever used this Google Collab stuff before? Go to the link below to open a copy. Click on runtime, change runtime type, and set hardware accelerated GPU. Go to your Google Drive and create a directory called with hashes subdirectory. We can store your hashes. I wonder. I'm not sure what files I have in my Google Drive, so for this part, you guys are gonna watch my face. So I don't need to exploit myself. Let's see what's in my Google Drive, because I actually use it pretty heavily. I mean, it shouldn't be anything personal. So I'll share my screen back in a little bit. I'm just following the steps there for creating the directory and all that good stuff. New folder, create. Hunterbot said, I heard it's not allowed anymore for cracking hashes. Well, shoot, maybe we should check that. And Amoeba Man said, we have a machine called Behemoth at the office. It has 8 GTX 1080, so cracks the entire 8-character space of NTLM hashes in 24 hours, so I'm lucky enough just to use that. Okay, well, you know what? Before we do this, I'll go back to sharing my screen with you guys. Before we do this, first of all, I hate having a bunch of windows open. I know some of you always have Windows open, but Google Colab hash cracking. I spelled cracking wrong. Well, I don't see anything. I can see why it wouldn't be allowed though. But I don't see anything. So I'm still gonna try it. I've never done it before, so good learning experience. So I'm gonna get it set up, but while I set it up, you guys get to look at my pretty face. So I'm gonna go to Google Drive. I'm just gonna follow the steps that it gave us. So if I go to Google Drive, and I'm gonna create a directory or a folder, cat, and then I'm gonna create another folder in there called, I think it was hashes, right? Let me check this out. With the hashes subdirectory where you can store hashes. Create. Okay, come back to Google Colab, click on runtime, and then run all. I'll share my screen again with you guys because now we should be good. Okay, so go back to Google runtime and click. What's supposed to do? File, hashes, come back to Google Colab, click on runtime, and then run all. Whoops. Runtime, run all. You may be executing code that is disallowed. It may restrict your ability to use Colab in the future. Okay, let's see what seems too good to true. What are the limitations? File hosting, downloading torrents, SSH, cryptocurrency. Oh, look at that, guys. You are no longer allowed to use Google Colab for password cracking. So, with that in mind, Amoeba Man, I don't know if you want to let TryHackMe know that apparently it is against Google policy to do that. I'm guessing TryHackMe doesn't want to actively encourage people to go against Google policy. Yup, RIP. RIP. So, gosh, it might take a while to crack this hash locally on our machine, especially in my VM, right? The proper way to do it would be to use hashcat locally on my main OS. But if we use John, gosh, I don't even think it would work. I'm trying to remember even the John syntax. It's been a while. It's been a minute. Can we just John and let's just try this. Let's try it easy. Let's have John use its own word list. If we get to rock you, I might honestly just look it up because I don't feel like looking at my screen forever. I'll try the rock you word list too, but it took a while to crack. If I remember correctly, it was rock you to crack it. Okay. So I'll show you guys the syntax, at least what I think the syntax is. I think it's you specify the hash and then W for word list, and you can specify your word list. Why is it freaking out on us? Detected hash type. Yeah, that's what it is, but the string is also recognized. Let's just go ahead and go like this. Will that make a difference? Nope, that doesn't really matter. So I'm pretty sure the syntax for John is just John, the hash, and then you can specify the word list. But we might have to force it to do SHA-512 crypt. Jeez, it's so loud. I don't feel like taking a break. We're not taking a break. I gotta go to work soon anyways. So maybe it's John -- format raw 512. I'm doing this wrong. What's the proper way to do this, y'all? If you guys know, feel free to post in the chat. And I suppose if you did it this way, it would eventually work. Detected, but the string is also recognized. Well, I don't care. Yeah, only load hash is SHA-512 crypt. That's all I want you to load. Well, while that does its thing, I am going to cheat. I wouldn't call it cheating because we're not literally allowed to use Google Colab anymore. So Holo walkthrough, and we're going to try to go just to, what task are we on? We're on task 22. And so with that in mind, let's try to just go far enough that we don't give anything away. So I don't want to wait for this to actually crack. Okay. Linux rules. There we go. Now let's figure out what I'm doing wrong with John. So it's showing us in Hashcat. Now the way Hashcat works is it uses your computer's GPU. So generally speaking, you want to use it on your local machine, right? Like download Hashcat to your Windows machine, or if you're Amoeba Man, your Linux Mint machine, and run it from there. I believe would be the proper way to do that. I don't know if you use -force, if it tries to do that, even if you're in. I saw TCM Security use -force. I just don't remember the reason for that. Will it help run it on your computer's GPU? We could try to do the Hashcat syntax. Okay, hashcat -h. grep is what I'm thinking, SHA-512. And that will show us SHA-512 crypt is module 1800. Then I think it's just M 1800. And then is it that? And then is it W for wordless? Hashcat options. Okay, so Hashcat, we're going to do our options -m, so our module, our hash, and then we just specify our dictionary right away. That's how you would do it. We'll give it a second. I doubt this is gonna crack it. But this would be the proper way to do it. Well, outside of actually run it locally on your host instead of in your guest OS, instead of in your VM. But this is going to compare it to the rocky.txt word list and see if it can crack it. You know, the other thing we could do is if it's a really common hash. I'm going to stop this just because I demonstrated the syntax there. But if we cat it out, and if we copy this, I don't know if that's proper syntax. The actual hash should be just this part, right? Nope, I'm doing it wrong. If we were to just copy the hash, is it just the whole thing? I was thinking it was just the... It wouldn't be these numbers on the end there. Salt prevents these online brute force rainbow tables. Gotcha. Gotcha. Took a while to crack. You just give the word list. Watch that CPU strike. They won't have it. Even the most common one, since the hash has salt, it prevents rainbow tables. I gotcha. And yeah, this is the other difficulty with me trying to run Hashcat right now. My CPU, right? I'm streaming on OBS. I'm running all this video and audio through it. And if I'm trying to run Hashcat as well at the same time, I might deny of service my stream myself, my computer. So guys, you know what? I think we did some good work. We learned some cool stuff. At least I learned some cool stuff. And we are at task 22. We are almost at the halfway point. We're gonna do some tunneling next. We might hold tunneling for my next stream. So guys, I think we've done good so far. Past 2 days, we've got through 22 tasks. I say that's pretty good. I have some work stuff to do for my day job, which tonight is my night job. And so I'm gonna sign off. I'm still gonna be on a computer, but I'll be doing stuff that actually I make money from. So hey guys, thank you again for hanging out. If you chose to hang out with me tonight, whether it's live on stream, maybe you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, hopefully you learned something. And like I say in all my streams, I do not claim to be anything close to an expert. The reason I'm doing these things is I want to learn. So I make silly mistakes, but you're always welcome to stumble through it with me. And if you're live on stream, teach me, right? If you know more than me, which a lot of you do, feel free to be on stream, give guidance, give tips. I jot it down into my notes. A special thank you to HunterBot and Amoeba Man. You guys are on consistently and also helping consistently. So thank you guys for being great resources for my own learning and for the Twitch and for the stream. But I will catch you guys next time. Thank you again for hanging out. You guys have a good night or a good morning or a good day, whatever time it is where you're at. Peace.